Multicolor 3D printing is becoming obsolete, is what I recently saw a YouTuber talk about, and I thought it was a really interesting conversation. It's a really interesting idea for a video because he makes some really good points. I'm actually going to link the video down in the description. I came across it as I was just scrolling through YouTube, and it's what kind of inspired me to make this video to further the conversation and to really hear what you guys think about multicolor 3D printing, especially when it comes to AMS, CFS, and all the multi kind of color you know, systems that exist in the world with Bamboo Lab, Creality, Anycubic, all the different ones that exist out there. You see, I do think that AMS type systems will become less and less utilized as time goes on. There's no doubt that the industry is going to find another innovative way to get multi-material and multicolor 3D printing into a single package printer. And it's no easy feat. If you have been following anything about the Elegoo Centauri Carbon, then you know that they have completely abandoned the project for their Centauri Carbon, and maybe they're even thinking about a multi-toolhead or a multi-nozzle system for the Centauri Carbon 2, which would be an interesting move because that would definitely make that printer more expensive. But I do agree that the industry is always innovating, which means that we will always see new and cool systems emerge as time goes on to get what we love about multicolor 3D printing, but tries to get rid of the parts that we hate, like the waste. I actually just printed a leaper from Arc Raiders. You can see it on my Instagram right now. I'll link it down in the description. But I just printed a leaper from Arc Raiders, and it took well over a day and a half to print. It had over 1,000 filament color changes in that print alone, which if I didn't have to do all of those changes, I would have been able to print the same item in like 10 or 12 hours. That's a huge thing to have to deal with when you're multicolor 3D printing, especially when you're doing it for a business. That time matters and it's expensive. And so the industry wanting to figure out a way to cut that out of their system is incredibly important. And it makes total and complete sense. I don't think that AMS systems will become obsolete in the next several years. In fact, I think the AMS system is probably the direction that the industry will sit with, at least for the foreseeable future. And we have to understand the industry is kind of segmented into two different parts. You have your Bamboo Lab A1 and A1 Mini owners, and even like your P1Ps and P1Ss. And then you have your Bamboo Lab H2C owners. You have your Creality K2 Plus owners, and then you have your Creality K2 owners. And those are marketed to two different people. And you see this very clearly in Bamboo Lab's marketing, especially. They call it almost like an industrial hub. This is your manufacturing hub. It is marketed towards business owners, and business owners are all about cutting cost wherever they can. And so it makes sense for the Vortex system to come out on a printer like the H2C, because people will spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on a printer because they know that it will save them time in the long run, which will save them money. That's very important to business owners. However, if you're buying an A1 Mini or an A1, you're in 3D printing for the hobby of it. Maybe you're buying it for a kid, or you're putting it on your desk, and the time that you're spending 3D printing doesn't matter nearly as much because you're not looking to squeeze out every second of print time with your 3D printer. Now, it might be nice to have shorter print times, but it's not the number one driving force about your 3D printers. And that's where the market has been shifting over the past several years. We saw this with the Bamboo Lab printers really entering the scene several years ago. We are marketing printers towards that budget, consumer-minded audience. That's why the Centauri Carbon, I think it's on sale for like $249. That is a ridiculous price for a 3D printer. That's who we're marketing towards. And that's where the AMS will become more and more popular. As time goes on and we see more prosumer level products for color switching and filament switching emerge over the next several years, we will start to see the AMS become more and more popular with those $500 and less 3D printers. That's where I think the market is headed. Now, we do have Snapmaker U1. They've made incredible gains over the last several, like, year or so with their Kickstarter. A $700 multi-toolhead 3D printer is an incredible accomplishment. I think that's the first step to making that multi-head 3D printer accessible for that sub $500 mark. But it's still $1,000 on their website if you didn't get in on the Kickstarter. And we're seeing a lot of problems with people and their printers. I mean, if you are just getting into the hobby and you are buying your first 3D printer, you probably shouldn't pick up the Snapmaker U1 because you have 4 tool heads. That is 4 times the opportunity for something to go wrong. And when something goes wrong and you're working on your first 3D printer, it becomes really daunting to have to take that piece of equipment apart, to have to put it back together. You're scared you're going to mess something up, and you might not have a shop near you to be able to take it for them to work on it. And so that's where something like the A1 or the A1 Mini really thrives. Bamboo Lab printers are generally pretty easy to work on. And if there's something wrong with it, their support is generally pretty good at walking you step by step through it. And if all else fails, there are probably plenty of people around you that can help you fix the 3D printer. My dog's on his way up. I heard him. He's going to ambush me in just a second. And so that's why I think the multi-toolhead 3D printer is the way of the future. Here he is. That's why I do think the multi-toolhead 3D printer is the way of the future, but I think it will stay the way of the future for the prosumer tier of consumer for a while. And I don't foresee it becoming a part of the consumer, the average person buying your 3D printer at Best Buy or Micro Center. I don't foresee that becoming very popular until it can become reliable enough and easy enough to use that the benefits outweigh the costs. But I don't know. I don't really have much else to say about this. My prediction is I think the AMS won't disappear. I think it will become cheaper, which is better. I think it will become similar to how Bedslingers have become over the past several years. Bedslingers used to be like the 3D printer. And now we're seeing these Core XY 3D printers enter the market, and Bedslinger 3D printers are becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. You can get Bedslinger printers for like under $100 if you do your research and you find one. I think that's how the AMS is going to be. We're never really going to get rid of it. It will always be an option, and I think it will become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper as time goes on. Meanwhile, multi-tool 3D printers and multi-nozzle printers, I think they will stay in the prosumer advanced high-end category, at least for a while. And I hope Snapmaker U1's introduction into this space will help push the market to be cheaper. Competition is always good. It is always going to drive the price down. And I'm excited to see where 3D printing and this technology is going. So what are your thoughts? Where do you think the industry is headed? Do you think the AMS is going to disappear? Do you think it'll become an entry-level option? Do you think that's just what we're stuck with for the foreseeable future? How do you think multi-tool 3D printers are going to change the space? And do you think that multi-tool 3D printers are really beginner friendly? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.